My name is Dan Paulson. I own Envision Development International, and for the past several weeks, I've been doing these webinars that hopefully are helping all our attendees figure out ways to either brand themselves better, improve their website, communicate, or even set their one-page business plan. So all these are being recorded. If you haven't been to the other ones, the last link I'm going to send out here to all our attendees will be all the other recordings, so you'll get access to all the other YouTube videos with the other presenters. I would also like to make a brief announcement that we're going to do this again next year. So this is the last one I have scheduled officially for this year, but next year we are actually going to hold more of either a workshop or a seminar series that's going to be like a full day event, and you'll be able to come in and go out as you please. Kim will probably be back on board with that. I'll twist her arm and make her present again. But we'll have some other presenters there as well. I'm also hoping to have some keynote speakers come in, and it's going to be talking about all different areas of business, everything from operations to marketing to sales and whatnot. So once that comes out, we'll get the information out to you. I also want to give a brief shout out and thank you to the Mount Horeb Chamber of Commerce. They've been the local kind of sponsor promoting this as we've been doing these for the past couple months. So thank you again, Mount Horeb Chamber, for reaching out to your local audience and getting their members on board. With that, I would like to kick everything off. So I would like to welcome Kim Poulos Lieberz. She is a brand expert. She's actually been starting to work on my stuff. You're actually seeing some of it here. We're kind of mid-transition, and hopefully within the next couple weeks, you'll be able to see the bigger and better things that she's been working on. But I invited her on board to talk a little bit more about branding and how you actually get other people talking about you. She's had some great success with that. She's actually worked with the state of New York on a couple projects. I think a couple local community things maybe that she can talk about or demonstrate to us. But at this point, Kim, I will turn it over to you, and you can introduce yourself at this junction. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Dan, for your kind words and for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I really appreciate it. So everybody, my name is Kim. I'm from KGI Design Group. We're here on Long Island in New York, and we help companies say hello. So today we're going to help you do just that, but also to help you woo in and wow your clients now and in the future. So why isn't anybody talking about you? Dan? There went our first little glitch, but that's okay. So why isn't anyone talking about you? Is it your brand how it is, or is it your lack of a brand? Well, why aren't they talking? Do clients not know what to say about you? Maybe consumers are confused about who you are, about your message, and about what you do. Or worse, maybe they don't even know that you exist. So what is a brand anyway? Well, a lot of people think that a brand is your logo. Oh, I need a new brand, I need a new logo. Well, actually, your brand is more than that. It's how you are perceived by those who experience your product or service. It's the very first thing one thinks of or feels when they see your logo or hear your company's name, or maybe your corporate color. Think Apple, FedEx, McDonald's, or a personal brand, Tony Robbins, or Cracker Barrel. They all have a distinct feeling that they bring to mind when you hear their names. And you can even envision their logo in your mind, or their color palette, or what their store looks like. So your brand is the personality of your business. And yes, it is recognizable by your logo and tagline, but even more than that, like I said, it is the feeling, the recognizable feeling that your business or product evokes. Brands live in the mind of everyone who experiences them. So everyone who experiences them, that's your employees, investors, the media, and yes, your clients and customers. Your brand really is your company's most valuable asset. So right now we're in a funky state in the world right now, in the country and in business. So let's take stock of where you are before the pause. Were you lost in the crowd before all of this happened? Because you might be lost in the crowd now, but let's think about before. So were you lost in the crowd before? How was your industry? Are there many companies with the same product line or offer? And how do you stand out differently from them? And it's okay if there are, you know, similar companies. Look, I always say there's Coke and there's Pepsi. And obviously there's an audience for each. Each has its own flavor and its own brand that appeals to its crowd. So do you know your flavor and your audience? And more importantly, can people recognize that? And can they find you? So here's my first tip. Because we had this time of pause, now you can restart. You're given a free pass. You can redefine who your company is, what your brand is, and remind your customers of all that you are about and what you've been about the whole time. So my tip 1 is to restart, which is a redefine or remind. And when you're restarting, remember, good enough is not always good enough. Your company deserves more than that. Often good enough is a budget-driven thinking, and you think, oh, my brand is good enough as it is. Oh, my marketing materials are fine as they are. But accepting good enough portrays your company as just that, good enough. But you want to portray your company and your service as great. So don't settle for good enough.
Kim, can I jump in for just a second?
You sure can.
Do you have an example of a company that might have just did good enough, or maybe an experience with somebody you've worked with?
I would say I have experienced, and I'm not going to put down people's family members, but where people have said, oh, well, we want to work with this logo because my nephew did it in high school, but it doesn't really reflect who they are. Or they might say, well, you know what, we can use this piece that we've printed out, my daughter printed it out in Microsoft Word, and it's good enough. It's just good enough. It says the message, but the fonts don't match, the colors don't match, the artwork is, looks sloppy or is blurry. So you just want to make sure that while you might say, and again, a lot of this is budget driven, and you say, okay, but it's good enough, but that's what you're putting out there. I often say, when you're going to the biggest meeting of your life, where do you shop for your suit? Are you going to run to Walmart and just grab anything off the rack and say, oh, this is good enough to get in there? Or are you going to go out and get a nice suit that you look really good in and make sure you portray the person that you want them to believe you are? And that really is what your brand does. So you want to make sure that all your marketing materials kind of reinforce where the type of company you are and the level of expertise that you will allow. And I think if you go with good enough for a budget-driven reason or a time-driven reason, that shows.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So now I have to think. Okay, so one of the throw me off that, Dan. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is identify you, your product, your service, and your brand. And I often like to start with a SWOT. And for people who know what a SWOT is, you'll know what this is. And for people who don't, it is an analysis of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I always think of a SWOT as internal. So what I would suggest is grab your key marketing people, your business partner, your coach, some salespeople, order lunch and start talking. Maybe you need a whiteboard or some sketchbooks, and define what your key product or service is, because you know that best. And ask yourself some of these questions that I've put here on the screen. And I would add to the end of them, right now, because right now is a little different than it was 6 months ago or a year ago. So ask, why do customers need you? Why do they need you right now? What is your key product or service right now? Perhaps it's changed. How is your service used right now? Do you fulfill a real need, like a water, food, shelter, or is it more of a want and a luxury item, a product of desire? And how important is that to people right now? And what is the cost versus the value in your consumer's eye, in your customer's eye right now? Because I think a lot of people's values have shifted. Another thing I like to think of is how does your product and service affect their time, their budget, and their energy? People want things that are a good value, fit in their budget, don't take a lot of time, and don't take a lot of energy. So how does it affect time, budget, and energy right now? And not so much important is how you feel, but how do your customers feel? Is your service too difficult or costly, or just takes up too much energy right now? These are things to ponder on. So I would chart them using the SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunity. And these internal factors are more in your control to adjust or change a price, fix your service. If it's taking too long, can you find a way to make it shorter? Examine things and adjust internally. The next piece I like to analyze, and I think this is very important right now with the way the world is a PEST. And I'm not saying be a PEST to your clients or to your employees. I'm saying do a PEST analysis. And a PEST analysis is more of external factors that affect your business, either positively or negatively, but things that you might not even think about looking into. Again, I would add right now to these questions. So obviously, I'm going to look into the chart here. Political factors. Yes, the election, COVID, unrest, we're all dealing with these things. But maybe there are some more direct things that affect you that you haven't even thought about. What about political factors in your local government? Or maybe you deal with international companies and you need to think about political factors internationally. Or maybe there are grants and programs that might be available, and that might fall under a political factor. And how do those affect you right now? Again, economic factors. Do interest rates affect you? Are there new taxation issues? Are there tax things that are being put off that you can take advantage of right now? How's your local economy? Maybe like in my town, they enacted a business district fee. So everyone on our main street has to put money into this fund so that they can have events. Well, that is an economic external factor that now a company would need to think about. Or maybe they put parking meters up in your town. So these are all external factors that obviously you might think about them and go, oh, that's happening. But I think charting this all out and listing it and kind of attacking it and looking at ways with your group that you can say, hey, maybe this sparks an idea of something we could do. Just say it was a parking meters thing and you have a local restaurant. Well, maybe you include parking meter fee in your, you get dinner and free parking and you'll, pay for their parking. Who knows? But there are things that are happening that you want to be aware of. For me, technology factors are very important. Is there a competing technology that does what you do faster, easier, with more options? So for me right now in the design and marketing firm world, there are so many technology changes that are happening real fast and making a lot of the things that you would think we do available to everyone. And some of them are really great. I am not going to deny that Canva isn't wonderful, that, if you have the ability to do WordPress, that's not wonderful. And people have more ability to do these things. So I need to be aware of the technological changes that are happening in my industry, just like you need to be aware of what's happening in yours, and not put them as like, oh my gosh, unsurmountable things. I can never get past this, but find ways to either work with that technology or offer something that's better than the technology. Are there better ways for your customers or consumers to buy from you through the web or online, or to become customers, maybe with a subscription offer? So what other potential innovations could help or hurt your business, again, right now? And everyone on the call, you may realize that these tools exist, the SWOT and the PEST. You know, I know that, you know, Weight Watchers exists and tracking my food exists, but do I do it? No. So just like that, you know, take the time to write these out. And I will say, as a little kudos to Dan, you know, working in with coaching, he encouraged me to write some things out that I was then able to go back to. And I said, "Ooh, I have all these written out." It helped me get to the next level. So I, again, encourage you, sit with your team, write out your SWOT, write out your past, resonate on them, share them with each other, because these can open up ideas for moving forward. And as Darren Hardy says, if you think it, ink it. Now it's the new norm. Are you going to be easy to work with or difficult to work with? Companies nowadays, they really need to be more flexible and more nimble so that they can be remote, virtual, and social. I'm showing a couple of examples here of two clients that we are working with. One is New York Triathlon. They run triathlons and duathlons. And guess what? They, until I think last week, was our first event that they could have where they could actually have people. And it's at a much lower quantity of people that they could have at the races. They couldn't do any races. So we had to come up with a way to be nimble and flexible and still offer our services or their services to the athletes that really wanted to participate. So they developed a series of virtual races and events. And while that did not bring in the huge crowds that a regular event would offer, it did give them the opportunity to stay top of mind, show that they cared about their community and their athletes, and it kept the athletes aware of all the efforts that they were doing to try to get runs back in, you know, back with the CDC and the local government to get them back able to happen. And we were able to reinforce their brand because all the materials stayed within their brand guidelines. Another client of ours, Lenny Marks, is a local photographer. And what he was able to do was to, usually he does more corporate work, and he wanted more portrait type corporate work. So what he did was he came up with packages, and they included some video to try and get businesses that were struggling some content that they could use without a huge price point. So it would help him bring in some income, and it would help them get content that they could then use on their social media to attract more clients for themselves. And remember, everything speaks. So your brand is important. You only get one chance to make a good impression. And I know I said your logo isn't your only part of your brand, but it is a very important part of your brand. Your company is you, and your logo is your company. So your logo is you, and your logo is the crown jewel of your marketing materials. It really is the foundation of your brand. So you want to make sure that that speaks the language that you want your consumers to understand. Okay, so then we're in the pause. During the pause, what were you able to do? Many of us had various states of business. Some were visible, some were invisible. Some people were missing in action. Others tried to stay top of mind and reach out to their customers with concerns and unique offers, kind of like I was just saying about Lenny. Instead of going missing in action, he came up with something different to offer his clients and potential clients. And it was a way of showing concern. So from that is my next tip, which is building relationships. By what Lenny did, he was able to build and nurture relationships. And using the results of your SWOT and PEST research, listen to your clients' pain points and respond accordingly. Consumers more than ever are looking for companies they can count on and that understand their unique needs in situations. one of the things that I thought was very unique about people showing that they cared about their clients was the Major League Baseball. Their fans' pain point is that they can't attend games and they feel disconnected. So they engaged the fans by having the fan cutouts. They reimagined what a crowd could look like, and it gave back to the community. So just trying to come up with something unique that you would never think of before as a way to engage with your clients and customers. So once you've done your SWOT and PEST and defined who you are, make sure that aligns with who your customer is looking for. And how do you know? Well, just ask. Some people are so hesitant to pick up the phone, do an online survey. Just ask for feedback. You can send out a press release of what you have going on now. You can post your achievements on social media. And social media, I know some people hesitate or they don't want to move forward with social media, but it gives you 24/7 access to your audience. And it allows for their feedback. And that's what you want. You want feedback. You want, I sound like a teenager, you want likes, but you want to see the likes because you want to see what resonates with people. It also offers people a chance for back and forth conversation. So they can comment on what you're posting, and then you can comment back to them. And then you can, private message and follow up with people. Consider writing a blog. Again, that also can act as a way for back and forth conversation. Publish a book or do a mock presentation. So the thing I like about the mock presentation is that was what we did to stay in front of a client that we wanted to reach and just get some buzz going about ourselves. The key is to position yourself as part of the solution and not part of the problem. So part of the problem was that businesses were having a hard time getting started and getting back into production and running after this whole pause. So what we decided to do is that we would develop a mock presentation for one of our local government institutions. And we did this totally on our own and pitched it to them as a way that we could stay front of mind, that we could show them all the tactics that we are able to handle, from developing a strategy, developing print advertising, doing digital creations, creating out-of-home solutions, and print solutions as well. By doing the mock presentation, yes, it took time and effort, but now we had something to send the client that was real, that they could look at, that they could imagine using. We also had material that we could use on our social media to promote ourselves and what we were doing and what we are able to do. And in the end, we obtained a referral from them to secure a level of working relationship. So now the pause is kind of not really over, but people are getting back. I don't know if you're back. And if you're back, who knows about that? And who cares? Did your offer or service change? And are you solving a new problem? What exciting things do you want your customers to know and share? Again, this is a great opportunity to leverage social media. So our tip 3 here is to be seen. Put yourself out there. A lot of people are hesitant to put themselves out there, but start with one post. If it's not right, the best thing about social is that you can adjust, you can redefine, you can change your message, but you want to start getting yourself out there and being consistent. So I know I just said change your message and be consistent in the same sentence, but what I mean is you're going to start with a message and that is relevant to your clients and your customers. But my point is, if you see that that's not resonating with them, with more of a social platform, you have the ability to pivot a little bit. but you still don't want to break out of your brand. But you can pivot your message slightly and evolve. So how will people know? People are inundated right now with social media and with email marketing. So you want to make sure that the content you create either answers their questions, educates them about something about your product or something that's going on in your industry, or inspires them, maybe inspires consumers to be a better person or to get started or to feel good about themselves. Just something inspirational really resonates with many consumers, or that entertains. People are stressed, so why not put something out there that's entertaining and takes their mind off of the greater craziness, but is entertaining and still supports your brand. Another project that we got involved with to stay top of mind during the pause and now after the pause is we developed a not-for-profit, and this gave us exposure in a new vertical, which was interior design, which we had not been in before. So the initiative itself brought together a community of interior designers and supported a cause, which at the time was Feeding America, and now we're expanding to other causes, including the American Cancer Society. Being involved in not-for-profits, and I'm not sure if anyone is involved with not-for-profits, but even a small involvement, one, it helps your community, and it gives you valuable content that you can share, either the work you're doing or the events that you're going to. For this initiative, I know we were able to get press, we had speaking engagements we were involved in, so I really felt that doing some not-for-profit work in your industry is a really great way to get people talking about you, and talking about you in a positive way. If people are talking about you, you want to be memorable. Your brand, again, we're saying logo and your messaging, but also your color. Picking a corporate color is really more important than you think, and using that color consistently. So companies and organizations need to have an effective palette to define and communicate their brand. According to Scientific American, psychologists have found that colors enhance visual memory. It helps you stand out from the crowd. It makes your brand easily recognizable. And now it becomes associated with your company. So thinking UPS, they decided to own their color. What has brown done for you today? And you would think, like, why would they pick brown? Well, it's similar to the Pullman railway cars. And the color brown at the time when the Pullman railway cars were very popular, brown was associated with class, elegance, and professionalism. And then also moving forward into modern times, just to keep the uniforms not looking dirty and the trucks not looking dirty, the brown really worked for them. And now brown is associated with them. So can you think of a color that's associated with your company or your business, and how can you share that with your, again, social media and marketing so that people recognize that as part of your brand? So tip 4 is get others to talk about you. And this, again, we're talking about social media. Your past and current clients, and even your friends and family. Ask them for referrals. Ask them for testimonials. Ask them for even photos of your product in use. And then ask them to share your message, to tag you, to mention you on social. Or consider engaging an influencer. So again, for New York Tri, because we were in the throes of not being able to run races, and we had to push the social media to get people involved and stay with us throughout this whole thing and realize that we were still offering them something that was a reason to follow us and stay engaged with us, we decided to start a Fitness Fridays campaign, and we reached out to different influencers in that space. So one was Savannah Stevens, and even though she spends her time in New York and Florida, she does a sip, stretch, and sweat, and we were able to run that every Friday. And it engaged the clientele that we had, the athletes that we had, but it also, because she was kind of on the fringe, it brought in people that weren't usually in our realm that we would be marketing to. But now these are still health conscious consumers that would be more interested in perhaps doing the races going forward. So we were able to spread the message a little wider to a group outside of our typical athletes. Also, we gained valuable content that we could share from the events that we were doing and the new relationships that we were creating. So now I've been talking a really long time. Time to talk about you. We'll just go over the tips. My tip 1 is, it's a fresh new start, restart. Tip 2, nurture the relationships that you have. Reach out, ask people how they're doing, and ask people how you're doing. Tip 3, awareness. Put your content out there. Make sure you have a solid brand. Watch what colors you're using in your brand. It is really more important than you think. Tip 4, build trust. Have people that you trust talk about you. Reach out to influencers. Ask your really good clients to share your message, and be genuine. And remember, your brand is your company's most valuable asset. The way you make people feel is the most valuable asset. So with the new norm, I just love this image. The new norm is that, you know what? You do want to go where everybody knows your name and they're glad that you came there. And you want to be where you can see that our troubles are all the same. What are your clients' troubles? What are your troubles? And they are all the same, and how can we solve them? So we want to go, we want everyone to know your name, to know our name. So are you ready? Let's get started. I'm gonna, Dan, is gonna share this. You're gonna share this
video,
whole
yeah.
video, yeah. And I can even give you a printout of this. But this is a really fun exercise if you're not sure where your brand is. And this is to create a visualization or mood board of your company. So this is actually a client project that we did. We sat in a room with them and we asked their whole team, what would they think of their brand if it was a celebrity? Who's the celebrity? What would you think of your brand if it was a TV show? What would you think of it if it was a car? So on the left is all of the answers that the team gave us. On the right is who the market they were trying to reach is. They were trying to reach HR professionals, not top security government officials. So their brand looked like the top left, but the audience they wanted to reach was the bottom right. So we looked into some research of HR professionals and more of what they are interested in. And we found through publications and other interactions with HR groups that it was a much friendlier, brighter palette would resonate with them. That a lot of them were volunteers and involved in causes. That the cars were more average and cost conscious. That they were into health drinks and teas. That the TV shows they watched were more like The Bachelor. And the color palette, again, I said was warmer and brighter, but even the font was a little friendlier from the materials that we analyzed. So you want to just see where you are and where do you think your clients want you to be, and do those align? Or even just to do this as an exercise to see where you are and see where you might want to push your brand. And then my last bit of advice is develop even the smallest version of a brand guideline. Even if it just says, this is our color red, and this is our color blue, and this is the font we use, or these are the 3 fonts we use, and this is how the logo is used. You can come up with a 4-page brand guideline and share that with your whole sales team, your marketing team, so that people don't go rogue and put a brand out there that doesn't reflect who you are. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me. I hope this was informative. Sorry if I stumbled a little bit here and there.
Oh, this was good. Hey,
Thank
a
you.
question that came up for you. So you talked about several different ways to, avenues to market yourself. You spent quite a bit of time on social media. What are the ways you're finding maybe being more unique to get in front of your clients? For example, I heard somebody say that actually they've started sending snail mail because most people aren't getting letters or aren't getting their mailboxes filled with junk mail anymore, that they might actually take the time to read it. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's really smart. I think that marketing tactics have to be well-rounded. It's not just one or the other. I think a combination of things really works well. And also it depends on who are you trying to reach. So if you're trying to reach, say, homeowners, and a lot of homeowners are home right now, or an older audience that are really staying home, that I think the snail mail, I think it makes people feel it's a little more personal. So I think I think it's a good way to go.
Okay,
I wouldn't
so
discard it.
here's another one. I'm a small business owner, don't have a huge budget. How do I figure out how much money I need to spend on building my brand?
Well, usually I want to say it's about 10% of revenue should go into your brand. But I will say this, commit to a number that you're comfortable with for the year, more so than the project. And once you have that number, don't be afraid to share it with whoever is doing your marketing or branding for you. Because if they're really, have integrity and they're a really good agency, they will try to fit as much as they can into that budget. They're not going to try and give you one thing for that whole budget. Because people come to me and they say, just for an example, I need a website. Or you could, let's say, a logo. I need a logo. And they have no, well, is it going to have a mark? Are we going to have, an illustration with it? Or are we going to come up with something that's a graphic mark? How does it need to be used? Where are you? Do you mostly have an online business, or do you have a restaurant where it needs to be on menus and hats and all kinds of things? Is it something that needs to be on billboards? So there are a lot of pieces to, say a logo or building a brand. But having a budget set in your mind and sharing that with your team or your designer just helps you figure out, okay, we can fit this within there. Because sometimes people come to me and say, well, I want a logo, or I want a website, and how much is that? And my question is, how much is a car? Everyone wants a car, but how much is a car? If I said to you, how much is a car? Well, what kind of car? Is it used or is it new? Does it have, electric windows or not? I don't know. Do cars even have not electric windows anymore?
I think they're all electric anymore.
I know. I'm thinking, how old am I? Oh my gosh, I don't know what that is. I'm really young. I really don't know what that is. No kidding. But it does have cloth seats or leather. So there are a lot of things that vary. So knowing your budget going in, and I would say roughly 10% of your revenue would be a fair starting place. But I wouldn't hide that and try to nickel and dime every bit, because I think that in the end it will cost you more. Whereas if you started out with a budget and said, this is our budget, what can we fit in it? I think that most designers will give more.
Nice. Okay, here's a 2-part question. So First question is on social media, you're a small business and, where do you post? How many different platforms should you be on?
I would say, again, it depends on what the audience that you're trying to reach is, but the number one thing I think is consistency. Just like with old school print advertising in the penny saver, if you do an ad once and never do it again, everyone forgets. If you post on social media once and never post again, that's it. No, maybe someone saw it in that half hour that it was, on someone's screen. Maybe they didn't. So I would say that you want to be across a few multiple platforms, maybe a Facebook and Instagram. Maybe you want to do some TikTok, but I would do, maybe you want to be on LinkedIn. I know Dan and I had experience working on LinkedIn, and what really worked was the consistency. Posting on a schedule every day or every other day really starts to, I feel, grow your following. And I've had people come up to me and say, oh, thank you so much for posting all these inspirational things, and because not everything I say is about me. And so this is a little second part of that question is, you don't want to be posting all the time about you. You want to be posting about how you help or what could help people. So it's not just here I am, look at all the great things I'm doing, but more of this is what we do and this is how it helps you. But I would say consistently, at least 3 times a week.
So that was actually the second part of the question. So then how often do you post? Is it multiple times a day, multiple times a week? So you kind of said 3 times a week. Is that often enough? Should you post more?
It depends on the industry, but for some things, yes. If you're in, I believe, exercise, health, those kind of fields, I feel like you need to be posting multiple times a day.
Very good. Do we have any other questions out there? I see Beth said this has been very helpful. She took photos of key slides to share with her not-for-profit team. That's wonderful. Actually, Kim did send me a PDF, so I will attach that to the email that goes out to all the people that signed up for this. So you'll get the slides, Beth. Don't worry about that. All right, with that, again, this is the last one for the year. I will be sending out some emails to those who have attended. Again, I'll share the links with the other webinars that we've posted so far. If there are other topics you would like to learn about, whether it be something I can put together for you, maybe there's some operational issues, workplace culture, communication, things like that that would be important, please let me know. Be happy to put some things out, and maybe we can do another one before the end of the year. Yes, Kim?
I just want to say, this has nothing to do with branding, and this is a kudos to you, Dan. What really got me through this whole crazy change of the way business is run and the way consumers are purchasing right now, and just how businesses are running, was by having a coach and having someone to talk about all of these things with. So you might come up with all of your PEST and your SWOT and all that, but having someone to run that by and go over it with really helps a lot.
I appreciate the plug. And if you need a coach, you know who to call. I will also say it is good to put together a peer group of people. So if there are people you trust that you know will give you good, honest feedback, build an advisory board. I've coached a lot of my clients that's a real inexpensive way to get good feedback. You don't want to put together a yes group of people. You want people, again, that will share what they're truly seeing and will give honest feedback towards that. And that can be very helpful because we do need that third party view, as I know all too well, which is why Kim's helping me with the branding. I can help other people understand those things, but when I look at my own, I'm too much in the weeds, and the messaging for me doesn't come out right. So having other people look at, and I've had a few other people, actually Randy's on the webinar today too. He's been very helpful with putting together some ideas for branding. So There's a lot of things you can do. Best part is you're not alone. That's a big reason why I reached out to the chamber to help promote these events, was to get the word out. And as you found out, it's not all about me. I've actually had a number of other people on here presenting about different aspects of business, and we want to keep this going throughout this year. So like I said, if there's any new issues you would like me to talk about, or like me to get somebody else to talk about, I'd be happy to do that. And sometime early part, first quarter of next year, we're again going to do more of like I would call it either a workshop or similar to a trade show, where we'll have different events going on throughout the day that you'll be able to attend on different topics. So, you know, it might be for 8 hours, but you can come and go as you please. You can sign up for the webinars that appeal to you most. So you don't have to attend everything, but obviously the more you sign up, we'll be recording them all, and that will be beneficial to you as well. So thank you again all for attending today. I appreciate you taking time out of your lunch hour. Kim, I appreciate you jumping on. You're an hour ahead, so you're past lunchtime and cutting into your workday, but I really appreciate you jumping on and joining in. And if there are any questions, you have my contact information. Feel free to reach out. So everyone have a great Wednesday afternoon, and we will hopefully see you again shortly. Thanks again.